Here is something you have probably heard. In the Middle Ages, people only drank beer and wine because the water would kill them. It is a great story. It is also mostly a myth. People drank water all the time, from wells, from rivers, from rain barrels. But here is the part that is true. For most of history, a glass of water really could kill you, and nobody knew why. There were no germs, no microscopes, no idea that anything lived in a clear, clean-looking drink. And yet, somehow, humans figured out how to survive it. The real story of how we learned to drink water without dying is older and far more clever than a joke about beer. It runs for 4,000 years. It is written in copper, in sand, and in one missing pump handle. And it ends at the tap in your kitchen. So let us actually follow it. First, let us be honest about the danger. The water looked fine, cool, clear, no smell, but a single mouthful could carry an army you could not see. Cholera, typhoid, dysentery, which older books simply call the bloody flux. These were not rare. For thousands of years, dirty water was one of the deadliest things on earth. It killed babies in their first summer. It emptied army camps faster than any enemy. It swept through cities in days. And the cruel part was the silence. You drank, you felt fine, and 2 days later you were dying with no idea that the drink was the cause. People blamed bad air, they blamed sin, they blamed the stars. The one thing they could not blame was the invisible passenger in the water because they did not know it was there. So how do you fight an enemy you cannot see? You get lucky, then you get clever. The first defense was an accident. Somewhere, someone left grain in water and it fermented. What they got was beer, and it did something water could not. It stayed safe, making it, you boil the grains. The alcohol, weak as it is, holds back anything trying to grow. And so, across the ancient world, the everyday drink became small beer. Thin, barely alcoholic, safe enough for breakfast, safe enough for children. In Egypt, the workers who built the pyramids were paid in it. In medieval Europe, a family might brew it by the barrel. Wine did a similar trick, its acidity turning it hostile to invisible life. Nobody understood the chemistry. They just knew that the fermented drink did not make you sick the way the pond did. It was the right answer for entirely the wrong reasons. A cure they could taste but never explain. And explaining it would take another 2,000 years. The second defense was heat. On the other side of the world, a different habit was quietly saving lives. In China, people boiled water for tea. The point was the flavor, the ritual, the warmth. But boiling does one more thing. It cooks the water. Anything alive in it simply dies. Every cup of tea was, by accident, a cup of sterilized water. Wherever the custom of boiling spread, the invisible killer lost its grip. It is one of the great quiet advantages in history, hidden inside a comforting drink. And again, nobody was thinking about microbes. They were thinking about a warm cup at the end of a cold day. The science was real, the reasoning was not. Humanity kept stumbling onto the right move, then telling itself the wrong story about why it worked. But a few people were about to start doing something different. They started to filter. Long before germs, some cultures decided that dirty water should be cleaned before you drank it. In ancient Egypt, people added a pinch of a mineral called alum. It made the tiny particles clump together and sink, leaving the water above it clear. In India, a medical text thousands of years old told people to filter water through cloth, through sand, through charcoal, or simply to boil it in the sun. In Greece, physicians poured water through a cloth bag, still remembered today as the Hippocratic sleeve. None of them could see what they were removing. They just noticed that water treated this way tasted better, and quietly, that fewer people fell ill. They were building the first water filters, running on pure trial and error. Every good idea survived because the people who used it survived. It was slow, it was blind. But drop by drop, humans were learning to clean the invisible. Then there was the strangest trick of all. In India, water was stored in vessels of copper. On long voyages, sailors dropped a silver coin into the barrel. It sounds like superstition. It is actually chemistry. Copper and silver slowly release tiny amounts of metal into the water, and to a microbe, those metals are poison. Store water and copper overnight, and much of what could hurt you is already dead by morning. They had built a water purifier out of a cup. Rome went bigger. Its aqueducts carried mountain spring water for miles into the city, and along the way, wide settling tanks let the mud sink before the water ever reached the fountain. Clean source, gravity, patience. For a while, a Roman city drank better than a European city would for another 1,000 years. Humans had gathered a whole toolbox of answers. What they still did not have was the reason. That reason arrived in London in 1854. The city was drowning in its own waste, and cholera was tearing through a neighborhood called Soho. Hundreds were dead in days. Everyone blamed bad air. One doctor, John Snow, did not believe it. Instead of guessing, he made a map. He marked every death, one dot at a time, and a shape appeared on the page. The dots clustered tighter and tighter around a single water pump on Broad Street. People who drank there died. People a street away who drank elsewhere lived. So he did something absurdly simple. He convinced the officials to remove the pump's handle. You could no longer draw the water, and the outbreak faded. He still could not see the thing in the water, but for the first time, someone had proven with evidence that the water itself was the killer. That map was the birth of a whole science. After Snow, the pieces came together fast. Scientists finally saw the culprit under a microscope, tiny living things swimming in a single drop. And once you can see your enemy, you can hunt it. Cities began pushing their water through great beds of sand. Then came the decisive move. In the early 1900s, engineers started adding a trace of chlorine, just enough to kill what remained. Deaths from waterborne disease in those cities did not just drop, they collapsed. It is one of the quietest miracles in human history, and it happens every time you turn a tap. 4,000 years of accidents, of beer and boiling and copper and one stubborn doctor with a map, all folded into a handle you turn without a thought. So next time you fill a glass from the sink, hold it up for a second. It is one of the safest things our species has ever made. If a glass of water hides this much, imagine what is hiding in the rest of your kitchen. I will see you in the next one.